Last Tuesday, my neighbor Dale leaned over the fence and told me his yard doesn't have ticks. He said it with his chest out, the way a man says something he wants to believe. I asked him when he last checked. He said, "Checked for what? You can see a yard doesn't have ticks." Now, Dale is a good man, but that sentence is exactly how a yard fills up with ticks while the owner mows right past them every Saturday. Because here is the uncomfortable truth about ticks. You will almost never see the problem itself. A tick nursery does not look like a tick nursery. It looks like a pile of leaves you meant to rake. It looks like the pretty shady spot under the maple. It looks like the wood pile you stacked so neatly your wife took a picture of it. 3 days after that fence conversation, Dale's wife found 2 ticks on their beagle. I did not say "I told you so" out loud. I said it inside, quietly, with great satisfaction. Today I'm going to show you the 6 signs that your yard is raising ticks behind your back. Not one of these signs is a tick. That is the whole point. By the time you spot the actual ticks, the yard has already been running the operation for months. And at the end, I'll show you a $2 test that tells you the truth in 10 minutes, plus what to fix first so you don't spend your whole weekend fighting the wrong corner of the yard. Stay with me, because sign number 4 is the one almost everybody has and almost nobody suspects. Why you never see the ticks themselves. I am Earl Dawson. Let me clear something up, because if you understand this part, the rest of the video will make twice as much sense. People imagine ticks the way they imagine mosquitoes, out in the open, coming at you. Ticks don't work like that. A tick spends most of its life doing absolutely nothing where you can see it. It sits low, in damp shade, in leaf litter, waiting. Scientists call the waiting posture questing, which is a fancy word for holding your front legs out at the top of a grass blade like you're waiting for a bus. A tick can wait like that for weeks, months even, in the right conditions. And the right conditions are what your yard may be providing free of charge. A tick needs 3 things: moisture, because ticks dry out fast in open sun; shelter, meaning leaves, thatch, brush, somewhere the sun and wind can't reach; and a delivery service, meaning mice, deer, birds, chipmunks, anything warm that walks through and drops off passengers. Notice what's missing from that list: you. The tick doesn't need your patio. It just needs the 10 feet of yard you never think about. So the signs we're looking for today are not ticks. They are the moisture, the shelter, and the delivery service. Find those, and you've found the nursery. Now let's walk the yard together. Sign 1. Leaves that stay damp past 10 in the morning. Walk out around mid-morning on a sunny day and put your hand flat on the ground in a few spots. The open lawn will be dry. Now reach under the shrubs, along the north side of the house, into that layer of last fall's leaves under the trees. If your hand comes back cool and damp at 10, 11 o'clock, after the sun has been up for hours, congratulations, you have found tick real estate. Damp leaf litter is the single best tick habitat in a residential yard. The CDC lists leaf litter removal as one of the main things a homeowner can do to reduce black-legged ticks, and there's a reason it's near the top of their list. Under those leaves, the humidity stays high all day. A tick tucked in there never dries out, never gets blown around, never gets found. My father used to rake leaves in October like it was a religious duty, and as a kid I thought he just liked raking. He did not like raking. Nobody likes raking. He knew what a wet leaf pile turns into by June. The sneaky part is that the dangerous leaves are usually not the big obvious pile. The big pile you'll get to eventually. The dangerous leaves are the thin wet layer that blew up against the fence, packed in under the hedge, and settled around the base of the shed. It's only an inch deep. It's been there since November, and it holds moisture like a sponge. Sign 2. A soft, ragged edge where the lawn meets the wild. Stand at your back door and look at where your mowed grass ends. If it ends in a clean line against a driveway, a wall, or shortcut neighbor grass, good. If it fades gradually into tall grass, weeds, brush, or woods, that fade zone is your problem. Tick researchers have measured this for years, and the numbers always say the same thing. The great majority of ticks that end up on people in a residential yard are picked up within a few yards of that edge. The middle of a sunny mowed lawn is nearly a tick desert. The soft edge is the tick highway. Here's why. The edge is where the shade starts, where the moisture holds, and where the mice run. A mouse does not like crossing open lawn, for the same reason you wouldn't like crossing a field in front of a hawk. Mice travel the edges, the tall stuff, the cover, and mice are the #1 taxi service for young ticks. So a ragged, gradual edge gives ticks everything at once, in one convenient strip that also happens to be exactly where your dog sniffs and your grandkids chase the ball. You can even test this with your eyes. If you can't point to the exact line where your yard stops, ticks can't either, and they'll happily treat the whole blurry strip as home. Sign 3. The wood pile, the stone wall, and anywhere else a mouse would pay rent. I love a good wood pile. Stacked firewood is one of the few things in this world a man can look at and feel he has accomplished something. But if that pile sits directly on the ground, up against the fence, in the shade, then what you've built is a mouse apartment complex with a tick daycare on the ground floor. Same goes for stone walls with gaps, old lumber lying flat on the dirt, the bottom of a brush pile you've been meaning to burn since 2 administrations ago, and the crawl space under a shed that isn't skirted. Every one of those is dark, damp at the base, and full of hiding spots. White-footed mice, which carry the Lyme bacteria itself, will nest in them all season. Larval ticks feed on those mice, pick up the infection, drop off right there, and molt into the nymphs that bite people the following year. The whole cycle can run start to finish within 15 feet of your back steps, and the only visible evidence is a nice wood pile. I'm not telling you to give up firewood. I'm telling you to get it up on a rack, off the soil, out in the sun if you can, and away from the fence line. A dry, elevated, sunny wood pile is just wood. A damp, shaded one on bare ground is livestock housing. Sign 4. Your dog has opinions about one specific part of the yard. This is the sign almost everybody has and almost nobody reads correctly. Watch where your dog goes when you let him out. Not where he does his business, where he lingers. Dogs like the same spots ticks like: cool, shaded, soft ground, interesting smells, under the deck, behind the shed, that worn-down bed of dirt beneath the hydrangea. Your dog has personally scouted your yard's tick habitat and now visits it daily, which makes him both your best detector and your best delivery driver. So here's the reading. If you keep finding ticks on the dog, do not just treat the dog and call it solved. The dog is telling you where he got them. Go stand in his favorite spot and look around with the first 3 signs in mind. Damp ground, leaf litter, shade all day. A dog that comes in with ticks twice a month is a walking lab report on your yard, and most people throw the report away and just refill the flea and tick prescription. One more dog note, and I learned this one the embarrassing way. Check the dog's bedding and the spots where he sleeps outside. I once spent a whole week treating the fence line while the actual problem was the old blanket in the doghouse, sitting on damp boards in full shade, being slept on nightly by the tick taxi himself. The fence line was innocent. I owe that fence line an apology to this day. Sign 5. You're running a wildlife restaurant and didn't know it. Deer in the yard at dawn feels like a postcard. It's also a tick delivery truck making its morning route. An adult female black-legged tick usually takes her last blood meal on a deer, and one well-fed female can lay somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 eggs before she's done. She lays them right where she drops off, in your leaf litter, along your soft edge, under your bird feeder. One regular deer visitor over one season can seed a yard for years. And speaking of the bird feeder, I hate to be the one to say it, because I like birds too. But look under the feeder. Spilled seed on the ground feeds mice and chipmunks all winter, and we already covered what mice bring with them. Then there's the compost pile with food scraps, the fallen fruit under the apple tree, the pet food bowl left on the porch. None of these things is bad by itself. Together, they turn your yard into the best restaurant on the block for every warm-blooded animal carrying ticks. The sign to look for is traffic. Deer droppings, a worn trail through the fence gap, seed hulls scattered wide, tunnels in the mulch. If wildlife has regular routes through your yard, ticks are riding those routes like a bus line, and the stops are wherever the animals slow down to eat. Sign 6. A spot that never fully dries, no matter the weather. Every yard has one. The north side of the house where the sun never lands, the strip between the fence and the shed where the air doesn't move, the dense bed of English ivy or pachysandra that looks tidy from above and hasn't seen daylight underneath since it was planted. The corner where the downspout dumps and the ground stays soft. Here is a simple test my father would have liked. After 2 or 3 dry, sunny days, walk the yard and find any ground that's still damp. Whatever you find is a tick refuge, because a tick's biggest enemy in your yard is not you, and it's not any spray. It's dryness. Ticks lose water through their skin constantly and have to retreat somewhere humid to recover. Take away the humid retreats, and a yard becomes hostile to ticks without a single chemical involved. Ground covers deserve a special mention here. That ivy bed maintains greenhouse humidity at soil level all summer, plus it's a gated community for mice. It may be the single most tick-friendly landscaping choice in America, and we plant it on purpose because it's low maintenance. Low maintenance for us, full service for them. The 10-minute test that ends the debate. Now, maybe you've walked the yard, found 3 of the 6 signs, and there's still a voice in your head that sounds like Dale saying, "Yeah, but I don't see any ticks." Fine. Let's settle it the way researchers settle it, with a tick drag. You need a light-colored towel, or a square of white flannel, about the size of a bath towel, and a stick or dowel to tie one edge to. Total cost, $2 if you don't already own a towel. And if you don't already own a towel, I have other questions. Tie the cloth to the stick, attach a string, and drag it slowly, flat along the ground, through the suspect zones, the soft edge, over the leaf litter, along the woodpile, past the dog's favorite shade spot. Go slow, 10 or 15 feet, then flip the cloth over, and look. Questing ticks grab the fabric the same way they'd grab your pant leg, and against white cloth even the little nymphs show up like poppy seeds on a napkin. Do it on a mild, humid morning for best results. Ticks tuck down and hide during hot, dry afternoons. If the cloth comes up clean everywhere, wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing. If it comes up carrying passengers, you now know exactly which zone is producing, and you can put your effort where the ticks actually are, instead of spraying the whole property on a guess. Wear light-colored clothes while you do this. Tuck your pants into your socks and check yourself after. Yes, you'll look ridiculous. The ticks will not judge you, and Dale's opinion stopped counting the day the beagle turned up carrying evidence. What to fix first, in order. Once the signs and the drag test have told you where the trouble is, here's the order I'd work in, because some fixes pay off 10 times more than others. First weekend, rake and remove the damp leaf litter from the edges, under shrubs, along fences and foundations. Bag it or compost it hot, away from the house. This alone removes more tick habitat than anything else on the list. Same weekend if you have the energy. Cut the soft edge into a hard edge. Mow or trim the fade zone so your lawn ends in a clear line. If your yard backs onto woods or a field, lay down a barrier strip about 3 feet wide of wood chips or gravel along that line. Research out of Connecticut's agricultural station found that kind of dry border can cut tick migration into the lawn roughly in half, and its real job is bigger than that. It marks the line for your family. Lawn side, low risk. Far side, check your socks. Second weekend, evict the mice. Wood pile up on a rack and away from the fence. Brush pile gone. Stone wall gaps near sitting areas stuffed or accepted as red zones. Bird feeder either moved well away from the patio or fitted with a tray so seed stops raining on the ground. After that, the ongoing habits. Keep the grass short, especially the last 10 feet before any edge. Fix the downspout puddle, thin or pull the ground cover in the areas where people and pets actually spend time. And keep watching the dog, because he'll keep reporting. Notice what's not on the list. I haven't told you to fog the yard or call the truck with the tank on the back. If a spray guy treats your whole lawn, he's mostly spraying the tick desert in the middle and sending you a bill for it. The ticks are in the 6 spots we just covered, and most of those spots get fixed better with a rake, a rack, and a mower than with anything that comes in a jug. Where a targeted treatment does make sense, along a wood line, say, you'll now know the exact strip to treat, which means less chemical, less money, and more dead ticks per dollar. The companies make their living on people who don't know where their ticks live. As of 10 minutes from now, that's no longer you. A last word from the fence line. Dale came back over last week. He'd done the drag test on that fade zone behind his shed and pulled up 4 nymphs on one pass, and he showed me the cloth like a fisherman showing off a catch, which I suppose in a way he was. His leaf litter is gone now, the beagle's shade spot is getting morning sun after some pruning, and the wood pile is up on a rack that he built taller than mine, which I've decided not to notice. The point of all this is simple. A yard tells you it's breeding ticks months before it shows you a tick. Wet leaves at mid-morning, a blurry edge, mouse housing, a dog with a favorite corner, a wildlife bus route, and ground that never dries. Learn to read those 6 signs and you're catching the problem back when it's still cheap and easy, instead of in August when the first tick comes off somebody's neck. So this weekend, take the walk. Put your hand under the shrubs, watch the dog, drag the towel, then come back and tell me in the comments which sign your yard was hiding, because I read every one, and the tips people leave down there have saved me more trouble than half the tools in my shed. If you found even one of the 6 signs today, subscribe, because next time I'm covering what to do with the red zones you can't fix, the stone wall you love, the woods you don't own, and the neighbor's yard that's producing ticks on your behalf. See you out there.